Hello and welcome. In this video I'm going to show the build tool to you. The build tool is a really practical and handy tool if you need to remove or place a lot of blocks at the same time and quickly. It takes a bit of practice to get used to, but after experimenting a little bit with it, you should be able to get the hang of it. In this map we've made a training ground where you can practice using this tool. If you at the spawn area move up to this teleport block and right click on it, you can see there's a portal to the build tool training grounds. Press this button and you'll arrive here, and this is where you can practice your skills using the build tool. Now, if you as a student have been allowed to use the build tool, you can press B and you'll get this menu. The first button is build mode, and along with build mode you get long distance building. Let's just see what that does. Build mode helps me to move one block at a time and is really practical when you need to build precisely. Long distance building lets me place blocks from distance. Also really handy. Let's go back to the menu. The fill and clear tool is a bit tricky to use, but probably the most important tool in this kit. Now, it works this way. If we right click on one point, say over here, and move it a little bit to another point and right click, we see that we actually place a lot of blocks. We can also do this. We right click at one point and then move over here, and it fills in the space in between the two outer points. So this can let us place very many blocks at the same time. So this can be good. It can also be dangerous because it can be quite destructive. Luckily, there is this function called undo last fill. So if you by mistake make a fill where you destroy some blocks or fill something that you weren't supposed to fill, you can hit undo last fill, and it actually keeps a history of your last 50 fills. So you should be able to recover something if you fill a wrong space. So that's pretty neat. Let's just go down here and take a look. If we say place amount and set it to 5. Yep. Let's just do that again. We set it to 5, and down in the chat it tells us that we've set place amount to 5. We can see what happens if I just have to remember to deactivate the fill tool, because it gets kind of messy if you mix the two. If I right click now, you can see that instead of just placing one block, I place 5 blocks. So that's quite logical. If I do this, I get to place 5 blocks here. In the same way as the undoing of the last fill, we can undo the last place. So we can just rewind our actions, and when we need to reset the place amount, we can hit this red arrow. In the same way, we can dig 5 blocks at a time. So if I hit this little tower, I actually dig 5 blocks at a time, which also is quite effective. Now we can undo the last dig. So what we need to be aware of is that when we use the fill and clear tool, we once we've right-clicked, the bucket turns red, and it's just a signal to us that we need to be alert, because if we forget that we've right-clicked with the button and then go flying some place far away and then happen to right-click again, you'll create a massive fill which will most probably crash the server. So pay attention to what you're doing when you're using the build tool. Rather work slowly and carefully than try to accomplish something quickly. But once you've practiced a little bit, you should be able to get the hang of it. If you go down into your quick bar at the bottom here and just select a blank space, the fill tool works as an eraser. So we can see that we get the eraser here, and we can just point at two opposite corners and just erase a lot of blocks at the same time. And this will become really handy for chapter 3 and also in chapter 4, where we need to be able to move a lot of blocks at the same time. Have fun.